in front of a live audience. In 2003, the Moth was invited to the U.S. Comedy Arts Festival in Aspen. We'd initially turned down the festival. Stand-up is really different from storytelling, and one of the things that makes for a great Moth story is the willingness of the storyteller to show vulnerability. And we thought the comics would just go for laughs. We were wrong. It turned out that comics were dying for the chance to get away from their one-liners and tell a real story. And one of the best was Mike Birbiglia, who at 24 was also one of the youngest comics at the festival.
I actually remember it really well, because I was scared to death.
Here's Mike, still very funny, but taking on something a little more serious.
6 years ago, I was asked to host the World Travel Awards, which is not an event that I had heard of before. It's not televised. It's not webcast. It's not even barely attended. But the real reason I was excited to go was that it was the first time that my girlfriend Abby and I had ever gone on a vacation, and we've been together since college, and I'd always dreamed of going on one of these tropical Caribbean vacations. I would watch those commercials when I was a kid, you know, where they'd show these shots of the soft sandy beaches and the clear water, and someone in a local accent would say, "Come to Jamaica," and I would think, I want to come to Jamaica, but I can't afford these, you know. That was the thing, is that Abby and I were so broke, you know. It's like, when you don't have any money, vacation seems like a completely ridiculous concept. You're like, well, usually our life costs about $85 per week, and on vacation it would cost $2,000 to $3,000 per week. So I don't know if we're going to do that this year. And so I was so excited because we were going to go on this vacation, and I thought, this is going to fix everything. Abby and I had just gone to my brother Joe's wedding, and a lot of people were asking me whether or not Abby and I were going to get married. And, you know, this was a tough question because I was in love with Abby. I mean, we had been together since college, and I couldn't imagine the idea of breaking up. And so I would just kind of nod and say, yeah, you know, I think so. But I knew that I wasn't really ready for it, but I never said it. And, you know, Abby, I don't think was convinced that we should get married either. I mean, I think that both of us were afraid of the idea of breaking up. I mean, we were deeply afraid of what our lives would be outside of being together, because we had never done that in our adult lives. And what was difficult about this was that we had always shared our fears with each other, and we couldn't share this fear. I mean, Abby had some pretty eccentric fears. She was afraid of flying and water, which is an interesting combination. Of flying, so much so that when we were in college, she went to visit her parents in Florida, and she went to the airport and she looked at the plane through the window and she said, "No, I'm not going." And then she took a cab to the train station and took a train 25 hours to Florida. And so it was that level of fear that she had for us breaking up, as did I. And we were at my brother Joe's wedding, and they were taking these family photos, and my mother pulled me into one, and she said, "Do you want Abby in the photo?" And I said yes, but there was a slight pause. I said, "Yeah." And later that night when we got home, Abby said, what was that pause? Why was there that pause? And I said, "You know me, I pause. I'm a pauser." And she said, "If we're not going to get married," I go, "Of course we're going to get married." And she said, "When?" And what I should have said was, "Can we talk about this next summer?" What I did say was, "Next summer." And she called everyone we knew and told them we were getting married, and that's how I got engaged without getting engaged. Abby and I started planning our wedding, and I think that she could sense that I wasn't completely into it, and I kept trying to be, you know, and I kept wanting to fix it. I actually thought that the St. Lucia trip would be exactly what we needed to get back on track. And so we land at the St. Lucia International Airport, and we are picked up in a limo, which is a very extravagant and amazing way to travel unless you're on an island that is mountainous. We went on a 39-mile trip through hills and mountains, and we really could have used like a Range Rover or like a Ford Explorer. Any car with shocks would have been fine, but we're just kind of bumping up and down, and it took about 2.5 hours, and we're just staring at each other with just utter ire, and we're just criticizing the driver, and then we're criticizing each other, and then just picking each other apart. A lot of sentences beginning with, well, if you're going to bring up that, and ending with something completely toxic. I mean, the phrase, if you're going to bring up that, never ends with, I'm going to tell you I love you. By the time we arrived, we were just at our wits' end. We rolled out of the back of the car, and we go to the front desk to check in, and they say the room is not ready. And they say you can go down at the beach, and we'll set up a table, and you can have drinks on our cups. And so we go down to the beach, and there's this soft sand and the clear water, exactly like I'd seen in the commercials. It was as though the water were speaking to me, come to Jamaica. And Abby looks me in the eye, and she says, I think we should break up. I start crying, like I just witnessed the death of my best friend, and she starts crying the same way, and we're just crying. People around us are so mad at us, you know, because they're having like their dream vacation, and we are like these awful, like sad extras in their dream, you know. They're just like, can't you do that somewhere else? You know, like any Starbucks in Manhattan would be fine, you know, but just not here. And we're crying, and we're just looking out at that perfect water, and that is day one of our Caribbean dream vacation. The thing about breaking up on an island is that you can't leave. There's nowhere to go. The great Mitch Hedberg had a joke where he said that, you know, the worst place to get in an argument is in a tent. What are you going to do? Slam the flap. An island is even worse, you know. What are you going to do? Flap your wings, fly away, you know, build one of those Gilligan's Island palm tree planes. We were in this hotel room for days, and we wouldn't really speak. You know, she would leave for hours at a time. We wouldn't say where she was going, and she'd come back, and I'd say, where were you? And she'd just go, out. And then eventually I was upgraded to her business voice, you know, that kind of cheery, professional, and distant voice that you sometimes get